We were talking recently about handwriting, how we've seen a decline in penmanship, decline in written thank you notes. We're going to use Jeff as an example. They asked all the anchors, I should point out, for handwriting samples. Jeff had a couple here. That one's from 1992.
Yeah.
And then we see 2011. A little bit of a change in your handwriting there.
Yeah.
But why is the big question. Why and how does your handwriting change over time? And what does your handwriting say about you? Well, for those answers, we're joined now by Michelle Dresbold, who's the author of Sex, Lies, and Handwriting. The title alone draws you in. I love the title. So what is it about handwriting? Does it actually deteriorate with age?
Handwriting might deteriorate with age. Handwriting will change if you go through a dramatic physical or emotional change. So it follows everything that goes on in your brain.
So you say a dramatic physical or emotional change. What kinds of things? If you're just severely depressed, if you've gone through a death, a divorce?
If you're depressed, your handwriting will change. If you're going through a divorce, it might change. If you're getting ill, it will change. You can monitor your health both emotionally and physically by looking at your handwriting.
When you say getting ill, you mean developing something fairly serious like Alzheimer's, correct?
Yes, you can tell if someone has Alzheimer's through handwriting or arthritis. Example on the screen right now, can we see this? Oh,
there we go.
Can see, you can't write anymore. Notice this handwriting. This is somebody who has arthritis. When they try to make angles, curves, they start to get angular. And that's one of the signs of an arthritic handwriting.
Interesting.
They get all kinds of angles in handwriting. It's no longer smooth.
Wow.
And Alzheimer's.
And then the Alzheimer's one we have as well. What are some of the changes that you're seeing in here?
Well, this is Ronald Reagan's handwriting. If you look, things will start to blob up in handwriting. You'll get blobs and the handwriting will no longer be smooth. It will have these dark blobs in it. And this is a sign that somebody is getting Alzheimer's. Mostly Alzheimer's, you will only see little things until the very end, and then the handwriting deteriorates completely.
Right, and then when you look back, of course, too, it all makes sense. When you talk about some of the other changes, though, something like depression or you're going through a tough time, so is that just a temporary change to your handwriting, or will that change stay with you?
It depends. If it's something that's temporary, it will only be temporary.
Okay.
If it's something that's all the time in your handwriting, it will be there. Let's look at these two handwriting samples. We have two artists, Van Gogh, and we also have Picasso.
Who are these guys? They
well, the downhill
seem like total unknowns.
Well, yes,
I'm not even sure why we're analyzing this.
Notice we have a downhill writing and an uphill writing. Downhill writing shows down, depression. Uphill is optimistic.
So Van Gogh's is going down a little bit. We all know he had some issues. You know,
he had some issues.
There was the ear incident.
Little ear incidents of chopping off. Uphill handwriting positive. Now, Picasso lived till he was well into his 90s. Uphill, positive writing. The downhill handwriting, depression, sadness. He, unfortunately, Van Gogh killed himself at age 38. So there it is, right in their handwriting.
But Picasso's, you say, seems optimistic.
Optimistic. Uphill, that shows optimism.
So if you go so far as to change your handwriting, now that you're telling us these things, someone who's a downhill writer today may say, you know what, I'm going to start writing uphill. Does that actually change what's going on inside?
It will change what's going on in your head. For example, if you smile, you will be happier. If you laugh. If you write uphill, you will actually change chemicals in your brain, and you will become a more optimistic, more successful person.
How about that?
I like it. Okay, so now let's take a look back, because we've talked a little bit about how and why your handwriting could change.
Right.
So we have some samples. Again, they asked all four of us for samples. Somehow Jeff and I made the cut. I don't know if that's good or bad for us, by the way.
I don't know either. We're about to find out, I guess.
You were much better, much more proactive with the assignment, because you got a letter from 1992.
Right. Yeah, 91 or 92. It was. I was in France at the time, and I sent a number of letters back to my parents and friends and grandmother. And I think the one on the top is just the beginning of the letter. I think it was a 3 or 4 page letter I wrote to her. But you see, I mean, bonjour.
What a good grandson.
Right, good grandson. You know what? You had drastic change from 1992 to 2011. Notice in your first handwriting, it goes downhill.
Yeah.
You were depressed at this time, and it's also cursive, which means you were more emotional. Sorry, but now, thank goodness, your handwriting.
How far you've come.
It's true though, because I was totally out of my comfort zone at the time. I was overseas. I was in places I'd never been to before, and people I'd never seen. I was young. I was 15 years old. So yeah, it was a rough summer at times. I had a good time, but
but you can see at that time it wasn't your happiest time.
Yeah.
There was and now you've made drastic changes by going uphill, and you notice that you only do all capitals now.
Yeah. That's how my dad writes too. I've like
really?
taken, yeah, I always wondered, my dad always wrote in all caps when he was younger, and I always thought it was weird. And now that's what I do.
Now you do it. My husband does the same thing.
Do you know more men write in all caps?
I always thought it was a man thing because you tend to have worse handwriting. We do want to really quickly look too at
look
this.
at you. This is your handwriting. Your handwriting hasn't changed that much. It's that nice, rounded, female type of handwriting.
That's when it's neat. It's not always neat, I should point out.
But, you know, you do some actually weird things in here, and I saw them before.
She does a lot of weird things.
Let's look at this word hoarding. You write a capital R in the middle of your sentence.
Capital R's all the time.
Capital R's in the
crazy.
middle of sentences. And what that means is you go along, when you see a capital that shouldn't be there, you're fine, predictable, predictable, unpredictable.
There's a little bit of spice in there, people.
Spice, yeah.
She's a loose cannon. You never know what that capital R will say. Michelle, thanks for coming in today.
You're welcome.
That was
Thank
very
you.
fun.
Very, very cool.